Hey everyone, my name's Angelo. I'm a senior developer experience engineer here at Prismic. I'm here today to introduce to you a new Next.js integration for all Prismic projects. We're calling this integration Prismic.io/Next. So I'm going to go over a few things with you. So first of all, what is it? Next, we're going to see it in action with a quick demo. And then lastly, what are your next steps now that this integration is available? Okay, so first up, what is this thing? What is this new integration? Well, simply put, it is an NPM package. It can be added to any Next.js project that uses Prismic, and its main purpose is to help you set up previews very easily. So it'll work with Next.js's preview mode, and it integrates with your existing Prismic.io/client instance. In the future, this integration could support other features. For example, it might have a Next.js image component integration, but for right now, it's mainly just about making sure previews are easy to set up in your application. Okay, so let's go ahead and see it in action with a quick demo. Okay, so here you can see I have a basic blog. This is the homepage where I can see all of my blog posts. I can click into each one and read the message that I had written. So this is a Next.js website powered by Prismic, meaning I write all of this content in Prismic. I can actually put that up side by side so you can see what that looks like. Let me zoom out a bit. So here you can see I have my blog posts. I have some settings for the homepage. And let me just show you what a blog post would look like in here. So in Prismic, I have some meta information like the title, the post date, and the UID. And I'm also using slices to write my content. So if I want to have text, I have a text slice. Or if I want to have a block quote, I have a quote slice, which is what I've used here. And then at the very bottom, I have this nice image here, and that's using an image with caption slice. So pretty straightforward. So what's interesting about this website, though, is that it uses Prismic previews, and that's what the new package implements for us. So for example, I can go into one of my blog posts here in Prismic, and I can update the text here to say something like, hey, Prismic Meetup viewers. And then I can just save it. And normally you'd have to publish it and then let the site rebuild. But now with the new package, it's really easy to implement previews. So I can just click on this eye icon. And you can see on the left side, my app is going to update with the previewed content that I just wrote. You can see it right here. Now, this hasn't been published yet. It's only something that I can see locally, or if I had other editors, they could log into Prismic and they could also preview the same thing, but the general public wouldn't see it yet. And I can continue to make changes. So I can say like, hey everyone, hit Command S, and that's going to go ahead and save, and then refresh my preview, as you can see on the left side again. So I'm going to put it back to how I had it, go ahead and save, and then I'm going to go ahead and publish it back to that original version. Okay, so let's go and see how we would actually set this up in your Next.js app. Okay, so here we have the code for the blog that we were just looking at. This is a standard Next.js app that was created using Create Next App. On top of that, we've added a couple of Prismic things to it. So we have our blog pages, of course. We have slices, so we have components for each of those. And then we have a configuration file that includes some settings for our Prismic integration, including creating a new Prismic client. So I just want to show a couple of key things in this project. So first is that configuration file. So within Prismic.io.js, we're exporting a couple of things. So first thing is we have our repository name. That's being exported here. And then at the very bottom, we have this function called create client. And create client, all it does is creates a Prismic client, and we'll use that in our pages to go ahead and query all of our content. Let's look at some of our pages here and how we're grabbing that content. So if I go into pages and then blog, and then this dynamic route for each of our blog posts, we can see at the very bottom of this file that we're using static site generation to make these pages. So in Next.js, that means we'll have a getStaticProps function and a getStaticPaths function as well. So both of these functions will use that create client function to create a Prismic client. And then with that client, we'll go ahead and query either the blog post that we're trying to display, or in getStaticPaths, we're going to query all of our blog posts and generate URLs for each of them. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this preview enabled. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install the new package. And you can do that by just running npm I at prismic.io/next. Okay, now that's installed. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to touch our app.js file. So app.js is used to configure things globally within your application. So for preview support, we just have to add one component, and that's called Prismic Preview. And that's going to go around the component that we have here. And it requires one prop called repository name. And so this is the name of the Prismic repository that you're using in your app. So if you remember, we're exporting that from that Prismic.io configuration file. You could also just write the name here as well. Okay, so the app.js file is configured. Let's go over to that Prismic.io file, and we're going to make this create client function preview enabled. To do that, we're first going to go ahead and import the new package. And then in create client, we're just going to call this new function called enable auto previews. And this is going to enable preview support for that client. So we'll go ahead and pass that client as one of the parameters. And we actually have to pass two other options here. So one is preview data. That comes from the Next.js preview mode. And also a request object, and that'll come from the API routes that we're going to create in a bit. So to pass that kind of information to the create client function, we're going to go and add another parameter here called config. And then preview data will be from config.preview data. And likewise, we're going to do rec, we're going to do config.rec, just like that. So now let's go and update where we use create client to pass these objects. So in pages, if we go to that blog post page again, up here in getStaticProps, we're just going to query we're going to grab preview data, and then we're also going to pass that to create client. This only needs to be done for getStaticProps, or if you're using server-side rendering, get server-side props. GetStaticPaths does not need preview data. Okay, we actually have our home page here as well. We're going to just pass preview data in the same way. Okay, next, we're going to create two API routes, and this is what's going to handle most of that preview mode integration. So in our pages directory, we're going to create an API folder, and we'll create a file called preview.js. Now, I have some of this code copied over, so I'm going to grab that. Okay, so basically what this is doing, it's a standard Next.js API route. This route is going to handle the flow from a user clicking the preview icon in Prismic. It's going to take you to the Next.js app, and then it'll redirect you to the page that, or the page for the document that's being previewed. The key part is this middle line here, set preview data. This is what's going to set up the preview data object in Next.js. Okay, next we're going to create an API route called exit preview. And again, I have that code copied here. So this one's a little simpler. It's just going to call a function called exit preview from the Prismic.io next package. And that'll just go ahead and clear Next.js's preview mode cookie, and then also refresh the page with the non-previewed content. Okay, so that's everything set up in the code. The very last thing we need to do is configure Prismic itself to understand that we have preview set up in our app. So to do that, we can go over to our Prismic repository, and then we can go into settings, and we have this option called previews. Now I already have one set up here. I'm going to go and delete that just so we can create it again. So you can have multiples of these. You can have one for like your production server or your staging server, but we're going to do one for development. And that's just going to be our localhost 3000, and we're going to put that API/preview route here. And again, that's the route that will redirect you to the page that you're trying to preview. So let's go ahead and create my preview. And that's it. Let's go ahead and test it out and see if it works. So to do that, I'm first going to go ahead and start the app. All right, let's check if the page is working still. It is. So let's go back into that blog post and let's make a change and preview it. Okay, so I can go back to the same piece of text I was editing before. Hey everyone. I'm going to save it, and then I can click on the preview icon. And there we go. You can see, hey everyone. All right. So hopefully that made sense to you. Next, we're going to go over what your next steps are now that this integration is available to you. So first of all, go ahead and try it out. The package is available on NPM today, so you can install it into your Next.js projects. While you're using it, we're looking for your feedback. We want to know things like, is it working well for you? Or are there other things that you wish it did that would help you out in your project? Of course, if you come across any kind of bugs while you're using it, please be sure to report that to us so that way we can fix it. You can do both of those, so you can report feedback and bugs to us on GitHub through issues. To get all the steps that I showed you today, you can check out the Prismic documentation with the link that I have shown here. The documentation has a full guide setting up Prismic previews using the new Prismic IO/next package that I showed you today. And that's it. So thank you, everyone. I'm really excited for everyone to try it out and let us know how it works out for you. Thank you.